A little late. I was very busy this weekend with the kids and unplugging totally from the shit show, which is nice. So let's get it. All right. Friday, we had that monster move, and we were all sitting on gold that in the end ran 1,000%. But it was defying everything. So this was Friday, and then we sold, and then it went higher. So on Monday, I would look for a pop to this trend line, and then it's gonna come down, and it can either bounce here or it's gonna go down to the gap, but it hasn't reached its full measured move, which is around here, around 414 on SPY, so I would think they pop it, drop it, and then it runs up. However, the ultimate goal is this gap here, and then obviously there is another gap as well up here. It still hasn't started to curl down. It will, however, but again, the max fuckery shit show here is that it pops at open and then goes down. Now, the range for April is not very huge. Okay? And just looking at the economic data, check this out. We have, Tuesday? We have PMI right after open on Monday. We got Fed speakers this week. We have JOLTS on Tuesday. Okay? We can play those moves. Then, once we get into Wednesday here, we have data pre-market too, but again, we got PMI on Wednesday. And then Thursday, we have jobs, which is going to be huge, pre-market though. And then we have non-farm payroll, pre-market Friday. So every day we're going to get a huge move. Just need to figure out what the range is exactly. And I'll know that Monday when the market opens. Now, again, Dixie closed right at the 200 moving average on the 1 hour. So unless it gaps up at open, it's gonna reject here, which would support the pop at open for SPX. Bitcoin not looking very good right now. But the big thing here is oil, okay? And look what just happened with oil. It just opened and it gapped over the whole wedge. Oil is now at 80. It closed at 75. Why is that? Anybody in oil stocks, congratulations. You're gonna get paid on Monday. How am I gonna play this? I am going to play the closing of the gap, and once it does, whenever it does in early April, I'm gonna load it, because this is absolutely gonna fly. It probably needs to go up to the 200 MA on the daily. It's going to fly in May, and this is really bad for the United States that the OPEC countries came out of the woodworks after being quiet for months and saying that they're doing oil cuts. Now this is only going to trigger huge hyperinflation for us. So yeah, not good. That's why we got that freak move where they smashed the 10-year yield, which once the 10-year yield goes under our teal trend line here, and if it manages to go under the orange one, then equities are gonna fly. However, there's a few, it's not going to be an easy month, okay? It's going to be a range-bound month, because clearly we switched ranges here on SPY on Friday. I mean, that was ridiculous. The whole move was ridiculous, and if you look on the daily, you see that we're not even in the goal here, okay? We're not in, we're right under this trend line. We actually tested it. That goes from October, the October trend line, we're right underneath it. So if we start closing above it, you see where this can run to 430. Okay, which then that is a double top or it's not. So it's all about how the Fed and the government decides to protect itself here, literally. Okay, so everything else goes out the window. Now, another thing I look at is this thing. I've showed it to you before. We're not even overbought yet. Okay, now it can even go above it, but that's the spot where it rejects. So you can keep an eye on, where are we on the daily? What's the RSI? Daily RSI is not even, once it starts going, usually the magic number is 72. You see here a little around 72. Another huge rejection came at 72. You can go back and look as much as you want, but usually around 72 on the daily we get a rejection. Right now we are at 62, so it can go. All right, but again, I'll know the weekly range of Monday and also the monthly. Another thing I wanted to show you guys that obviously we're tracking from time to time is this fractal I follow. It shows a pop early on in April, which could be even tomorrow, and then a pullback. Clear, this is not always correct, and I'll show you what I mean. For instance, here is March, but it is a pretty good thing. I mean, it tracked pretty well. Some of the highs and lows aren't necessarily on, but you kind of get the picture. Obviously this is insane here, but what I want you to notice is that it's range bound. We never go under 4,000. Okay, so in April, anytime we go near 4,000 on SPX, that's a buy. Okay, and what supports that? Well, we got this first gap, and then we got the second gap. Second gap goes all the way down to 398. So if we fill this gap at any point this month, buy it. So we're going to be reacting a lot this month and keeping an eye on things. Obviously, the 1 hour tick closed, but it didn't even reach its rejection level. That's why I think we can pop and then pull back. But again, we'll play it live. Tesla had delivery numbers. Some of them are positive, some of them are negative. It'll show its direction pretty quickly, but obviously it had a crazy move, on Friday. But it's definitely something to keep an eye on, because I mean, what it wants to do for a real trend change is close above 216. If it can do that, it will definitely fill that gap soon. So that's something. If you think you missed the move, you didn't. Another one, Oxy, obviously is probably gonna hit 65 tomorrow. But again, see this volume shelf? If it can close above 64, then it can start getting back to where it should be. So we'll see, but definitely oil's gonna fly tomorrow, which can also push the S&P 500 QQQ. Not at all, but we will see. All right, hopefully some of this info is useful for you, and I'll see you tomorrow.